Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think that it's incredibly important that we start to pull the covers back on what has been an epidemic in a lot of schools and a lot of states throughout this country, which is something called the school-to-prison pipeline. And this equity scorecard would, for the first time, get us some real data on a problem that not only is marginalizing tens of thousands of kids across the country, but is costing state governments and the federal government literally millions of dollars. The fact is that there are lots of kids who probably need to get suspended and expelled from schools because they've engaged in some very dangerous or violent conduct, but that's not what school discipline is being used for routinely today. It's being used to essentially push kids out of school for routine violations of school policy. And what we know is that those kids that get suspended and expelled, it didn't take them very long to filter into the juvenile justice system. In Connecticut, it costs us about $14,000 to educate a kid, but it costs us almost $300,000 a year to lock them up. And it is not too long a path from this conduct which results in chronic suspension or expulsion, which leads into the juvenile justice system. 1 in 9 kids across this country have been suspended or expelled. And studies from places like Texas suggest that in some states, 6 out of 10 kids over the course of their high school career are going to be suspended or expelled. And the problem is particularly bad for African American and Hispanic students. African American students, boys in particular, are twice as likely to be suspended or expelled for the same offense that a white student commits. And this equity scorecard is going to be an eye-opener for a lot of parents out there. So when they have some ability to perhaps choose a school for their child, they're going to be able to look to see where their child is going to be treated fairly if they break the rules, and will give us some data to suggest how bad a problem we have out there with respect to these kids that are committing some relatively vanilla offense that used to be taken care of in the principal's office that now pushes the kid out of school, onto the streets, gets them into further trouble, and then ends up exploding the cost for local, state, and federal governments. And so I think this equity scorecard in general is, I think, incredibly important, and particularly these provisions which are going to finally get us some information about this very dangerous, increasing school-to-prison pipeline. It's going to save us a lot of money in the long run.